Hey, how you doing? So I thought I would take a moment to talk about being a DM, and I think one of the most notable aspects of mainstream D&D right now is the idea of voice actors playing characters and dungeon masters. This is in large part due to Critical Role, and it sets a very high standard for the average player who's just starting out. But the idea of bringing a different voice to the table to embody your character is part of D&D. D&D is built around role playing. It's about becoming your avatar, and using your voice is one way to do that. But not every player likes the role playing aspect. There are a lot of players out there who really just enjoy the combat. But as a DM, being able to put a voice behind your villain or behind the bartender can take your game to the next level. So how do you start? I spent the better part of a decade studying theater. I learned how to use my voice, and it's not something that happens overnight, but there's a few ways you can start, and one of them is by choosing one word. Let's use the word rough, for example. I'm an American, so I'm going to say rough. Well, that was rough. But if I was a dwarf, I'd say rough. Aye, that was a bit rough, wouldn't it? If I was a posh bartender, I would probably say rough. Well, you lot look rather rough, don't you? You can find one word and practice that word, and using a dialect in that word will help you transition into other words, and you can eventually make sentences out of it that extend all the way through in the same dialect. Another thing you can do is find a famous person who has a lot of film time or a lot of recorded time, and you can listen to their voice. Let's take Sean Connery, for example. Now, I am by no means an expert at Sean Connery's voice, but when I was young, I learned one sentence, and it helped me get into developing my voice. I would say, I like maple syrup on my pancakes. Now, it's the inflection of the S that makes Sean's voice distinct. And it is that distinction that you can translate into other characters. Well, I'd say that was rather rough, wasn't it? Adding an accent to your characters will help create a sense of immersion for your players. And chances are, if you start using a voice to define that crazy potion seller, your players might just have a little more fun.